Hey, what's up everyone? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here with an album review for you guys. So for this review, I'll be reviewing Linkin Park's newest album, From Zero, which did come out recently. Now, I was looking forward to this album for a few reasons. I mean, I wasn't losing my mind over this album or anything, but I was still looking forward to it nonetheless, and I was very curious about this album because number one, this is Linkin Park's first album since 2017's One More Light, which I think a lot of us Linkin Park fans can agree that that was probably their weakest album, but it did have a few highlights on the album, at least I would say so. And also, this is Linkin Park's first album with their new vocalist, Emily Armstrong. Now, a lot of people were pretty much torn on the idea of there being a female front woman being the main face of Linkin Park. Of course, still with alongside Mike Shinoda. For me, I was kind of like, it's whatever. It's one of those things where it's like the band will do what they want to do. But I think if I had my way, I would just say Linkin Park shouldn't have even continued after this. I mean, regardless of who the new vocalist would have been, I just think it would have been better if they would have just left Linkin Park alone and maybe just call the band something else if they really want to continue with the members that they had. So there you have it. And I heard someone say once that it seems like no band ever really stops. Like, honestly, is there really any band out there? I mean, I know there are exceptions, but does any band ever really stop making music? Now, yes, I know, once again, there are exceptions, but it seems like with a lot of bands, especially when we're talking, big, successful, popular bands like Linkin Park, I mean, it's just hard to believe that they would never make music ever again. So at the same time, it's not really a surprise that they want to continue to make new music. So obviously, they wanted to continue to make music with their new vocalist, Emily Armstrong. And I have to say, when it comes to Emily Armstrong, just by listening to the singles leading up to this album, I could tell that she's trying to do the things that Chester Bennington used to do, especially with those screams. Like, you definitely get that on this album. I mean, you could definitely tell she's really trying to pick up where Chester Bennington left off. May he rest in peace, of course. And either way you look at it, this band will never be the same without Chester. So, when it comes to this new Linkin Park album, From Zero, I think this album is just decent. I think it's a decent listen. It's not great or amazing or anything, but I'd say it's decent. It's definitely a decent listen, I would say. There's definitely some good songs, and I think if you are a Linkin Park fan, or if you're a long-time Linkin Park fan, there are going to be things that you are going to like about this album. And I would say, as far as sound-wise, this definitely leans closer to Linkin Park's sound than One More Light did, their last album. And I would definitely say that this album is definitely better than One More Light. For those that are wondering, is this album better than One More Light? And I will definitely say, yes, it is. Mission accomplished. They managed to surpass One More Light. Which, of course, it wouldn't have taken much, but still. Definitely an improvement from One More Light. This definitely leans closer to their sound. And I've definitely heard some people say that some of the songs definitely sound like they could have came from the Minutes to Midnight era and even the Hunting Party era, which, yes, you can definitely hear that with some of these songs. With songs like Two-Faced, which I think is one of the highlights on the album, it's basically them going more nu metal, like going back to their more nu metal roots. And this song, it's definitely a banger, as they would say. I mean, it's definitely a solid track, and again, I'd say it's one of the highlights. And of course, The Emptiness Machine, which was the lead single to this album, I thought was very solid. Stain is another good song as well. And one interesting thing about this album, and one of the reasons why I think this would be very cool for those that are longtime Linkin Park fans and those that have been listening to them for a long time, is you do get a variety of pretty much everything. Like, if you like their more electronic stuff, there's something for you here. And if you like their more nu metal stuff, there's something for you here as well, which I think is really nice. And it's definitely going to please a lot of fans, I would say. However, is this anything that I'm going to return to all the time, or I'm going to listen to this a lot? Probably not. I mean, if I'm going to listen to Linkin Park, I'm going to listen to their first 3 albums, I would say. Like, those albums, it doesn't seem like those albums will ever be topped, at least when we're talking about the Linkin Park discography. But this is a nice addition to the Linkin Park discography, I would say. And I think Emily Armstrong, she did a fine job with her vocal deliveries and everything, and you could really tell she tries her best on this album. And of course, the vocals from Mike Shinoda I do enjoy as well. So overall, it's a decent listen. It's definitely decent. If you're a longtime Linkin Park fan, like I said, you might want to check this one out. But for starters, if you're wanting to check out a Linkin Park album, you know, this is definitely not a good start because, you know, this is a new chapter of Linkin Park. Like, this is obviously a new vocalist and everything, so I would recommend checking out all the albums with Chester first, and then listen to this one if you're new to the band and want to check out their music. I would start off with at least the first few Linkin Park albums. So there you have it. But overall, it's decent. From Zero is a decent Linkin Park album. So if I were to give this album a score, I would probably give it a light 7, a very light 7 out of 10. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.